Welcome back everyone, and it's time to go balls deep. And like I promised, I'm going to continue blasting out Tower of God content. This time around, I'm covering the epic weapons we see used by Bomb and Anarch. Yes, I'm talking about the Black March and the Green April. Along with that, I'm going to be explaining what are ignition weapons and the history behind the 13th month series, along with giving you guys a brief overview of Jahad's princesses. But before I begin, I wanted to thank you guys for destroying that like button on the last video. There was a lot of positive feedback, which I really appreciate, including all of you guys who joined our Discord to be part of the balls deep discussion. But don't stop here guys, we are going to go super balls deep in Tower of God. So this time around, make sure this video gets over 10,000 likes and I'll explain everything you guys need to know about the 10 great families and one of them which Khun is from. But with that, let's cue the intro and get right into the video. So right off the bat, for those who just got into the anime, you probably are wondering what the heck is going on with these weapons. Like, is this Bleach? Are we in the right anime? The swords given to Bomb even managed to stop time, JoJo style. This shit is even new to me, cause guys, this wasn't in the webcomics. But seriously, what's going on? Well, don't worry guys, I'm gonna explain everything you guys need to know. The needle looking weapon that Bam has is called the Black March, and the weapon that Anarch has is called the Green April. If you guys notice, the name is pretty basic and it represents the color of the weapon followed by a month. In fact, these two are ignition weapons that are part of a collection known as the 13th month series, which was crafted by a famous blacksmith within the tower called Ashul Adwaru. I probably butchered his name guys, so please forgive me. No! Anyway, Ashul Adwaru is also the author of the book of the tower's weapons, where he explains that the most of the weapons in the tower are modeled after the weapons that Zahad and the great warriors brought with them when they entered the tower. Those weapons did not have any capability of using Shinsu, rather they were designed for a space filled with air or vacuum, giving us an idea that the outside world is actually like ours, and so are those old weapons. But essentially all of those weapons had to be redesigned to actually be used in Shinsu, and Ashul made it clear that if one wishes to understand these weapons made in the tower, then they must understand Shinsu. And guys, if you want basic understanding of what Shinsu is, then go back to my last video on Tower of God where I explain it. By the way, a quick fact about Ashul Adwaru is that he was born and lived in the tower even before Zahad and his Goonies entered. To craft weapons for Zahad and the family's needs, he interviewed irregulars who were people outside of the tower and studied the difference between air and Shinsu. Hence it makes a lot of sense why he has a great understanding of the tower and Shinsu to the point of crafting such OP weapons. So basically, this OG dude, with the request of Zahad, created the 13th month series, which consists of 12 ignition weapons and 1 arms inventory. But before I explain the 13th month series and their importance, let me run through what ignition weapons are, because the 13th month series are not the only ignition weapons within the Tower of God universe, but they are probably one of the most powerful ones. So let's get into ignition weapons and explain what they are. Well, for most part, I would compare it with Zanpakuto from the Bleach series, as typically ignition weapons is simply a weapon with a soul. However, the way ignition weapons ends up with a soul isn't linked to any individual. Instead, these weapons were refined with Shinsu to bear a soul. These type of weapons are actually said to be quite rare, specifically on the lower floors, and they are usually top tier amongst every other weapon. The reason it's called ignition weapons is due to the fact it can be ignited or kicked off like starting an engine. When this happens, the weapon releases a large amount of energy and power, ultimately increasing its speed and damage output. Now, the souls that are refined into the ignition weapons can be one soul split into many parts. For example, there is an ignition weapon known as Narumada. The tale behind the sword is that long time ago, there was this monster who would feed amongst the humans, but later 7 talented swordsmen managed to defeat this monster. However, to prevent this monster to ever rising back, they sealed its soul into 7 of their swords, which was passed on to the next generation. Narumada is said to be one of the 7 swords. This means that a soul of a being can be split between weapons. For some reason, I feel like I'm stepping into some Harry Potter shit, because this kind of reminds me of the concept of Horcrux. A little bit of a spoiler is that ignition weapons are not limited to inanimate objects, as later it's revealed that living ignition weapons can exist after experimentation, where part of a soul can be attached to a living person, giving them huge amount of power boost when they ignite themselves. Now it sounds kind of weird igniting themselves, but yes, they can literally start off the engine and the soul that's residing in them will just flare up and they will have a massive amount of energy. But coming back back to ignition weapons, amongst them there is a group of weapons known as compression weapons. These weapons usually look like a normal weapon but are compressed to a smaller size. However, when they are ignited, they can decompress and return to their original size and become extremely powerful. The Green April that we see Anak using is a good example of a compression weapon. Another famous compression weapon is called Magor, which is an ignition weapon belonging to the head of the Khun family. This weapon legitly is legendary because it's a spear which is said to be able to pierce half of the entire tower when decompressed. Just imagine how big this shit is. But again, this saying could have been an exaggeration to indicate how big this thing can get. So now that you guys should have got a gist of what an ignition weapon is, let's finally get into the 13th-month series. Like, these set of weapons are badass. As I mentioned earlier, the 13th-month series is a collection of 12 weapons and 1 arms inventory. Each weapon is named after their shade of color or so and followed by a month. In actual translation, the months are based on moons, so Black March for instance would be called Black Third Moon, but the author also approves the reading as the generic months. So starting from the first one, these are the weapons from the 13-month series: Silver January, White February, Black March, Green April, Yellow May, Luminous June, Indigo July, Blue August, Dark September, Red October, Golden November, Colorless December, and then the arms inventory, Rainbow Undecember or Rainbow 13th Moon. By the way, side note is that Undecember is an actual name if we had 13 months in our calendar. Yeah, Undecember, I didn't come up with that shit. The color of these weapons may also be due to the souls that are attached to them, where their personalities could be dark, or they might even have a certain quirk which relates back to the color. An example is Green April's soul is a girl with green hair. Now this doesn't mean it's the same for all cases, but it does tell us something about the souls. There is also a possibility that the souls of each of these weapons in the series are related somehow, as when the weapons of the 13-month series meet, they resonate and their owners can feel it. Now when it comes to the materials used to make the 13th series, it is said that it was provided by Zahad himself, and I'll get to what it was exactly in a bit, but the weapons were crafted to have different shapes and functions. For example, the Black March is a needle, whereas the Green April is a hook. The weapons also have different base strengths, hence different rankings. Golden November is recorded to be the only S-ranked weapon amongst the 13th month series, but it's important to know that no matter how skilled the wielder is, they cannot force a 13th month series to ignite, which would mean they would be unable to use its full potential. To ignite the weapon, it all depends on the weapon's soul's personality. We see this with the Black March, as even a high ranker like Yuri Zahad was unable to ignite it, while Bam on his first try was able to. Now another important thing to add is that these weapons are only bestowed by King Zahad to a chosen princess who managed to climb the tower and become a ranker. Now I'm not going to explain Zahad's princesses in this video, but a brief overview on who they are. Well, they are chosen girls, not always but usually from the 10 Great family, to be adopted by Zahad to be his personal girls. You know, it's kind of weird to be honest, but anyways, these girls have to go through a selection process filtering a lot of the weak ones, and once these princesses manage to climb the tower, they become a formal princess, which gains a really notable rank. But coming back to the 13th month series, once given to a formal princess, they must follow certain rules. For example, they cannot give or lend the 13th month series to another person. And yes, I know we see Yuri do this right at the start of the series, but you know this isn't allowed, alright? A princess can however own more than one of the 13th month series at a time, and they can go as even far to fight other princesses with the 13th month series to obtain them. Yes, I mean they can even kill their adopted sisters. It's kinda sad to be honest, but it does happen. But a princess can also refuse to accept the weapon if given for whatever reason. Alright guys, for the final bit, this will be spoiler territory, okay? Which means for all you guys who haven't caught up to the webtoons, I'm giving you guys a gosh damn disclaimer, okay? So now we're about to dive balls deep into the history of the 13th month series, so you turtles better be ready. Now it all started when our self-declared king of the tower, Zahad, or more a popular way to say it, Jahad, decided to stop climbing the tower. He possessed the key that would allow others to go beyond the 134th floor, but my man decided he wanted to hide it. Man was given that Gandalf vibe like, thou shalt not pass. Seriously, he did not want anyone else to go further beyond. Anyways, apparently hiding the key wasn't enough. He actually had to go and divide it into two parts. One of the part was crafted into the 13th month series. Yes, the materials used to make the 13th month series was the first half of this special key to the tower. Initially, Zahad's intention was to share the 13th month series between him and his 12 companions who climbed the tower with him. And guys, if you smash the like button and get this video over 10,000 likes, I will definitely talk about these companions who ended up actually making up the 10 great families. But coming back, this idea didn't really go according to Zahad's plan, as two of his companions would later declare war against him, starting the Great War that would ultimately end with Zahad's victory. So in the end, the man decided none of his friends get these sick ass 13-month series weapons. However, what began next was an idea created by one of his other companions who suggested to him to create a princess system. The princess system was to force the girls to fight each other to show which one was worthy to be an acknowledged princess by King Zahad. The main bit was whichever one of these princesses collected all 13-month series were given the quote-unquote privilege to become Zahad's wifey. Yes, these girls, you know, they just really want his approval, man. Look at the guy, he got a harem up in here, but one of them, they don't want to be just a side chick, they want to be the main squeeze. But it turned out that Zahad only agreed to this proposal of the princess system as it would add yet another obstacle and allow the Zahad Empire to keep the 13 months safe in their possession. Like, the man doesn't want all the 13-month series to come together. It seemed later Zahad would actually do anything to keep any of the princesses from gathering all 13-month series. For example, the situation with the ghost of the 13th month, the bitter soul of a former princess who failed the initial selection stage and resented the other princesses, made a deal with King Zahad that she would possess any of the princesses who ignited more than 2 of the 13 months. Her time limit to control them was only for around 1 week, but in the end she would control them for enough time to force them to go on a rampage, which would give Zahad an excuse to execute that princess. So the first generation princesses became filled with evil magic of the 13 month and ended up killing each other. They basically went on a rampage. Yes, it seems like our dear King Zahad struck the deal with the ghost to prevent any of them from actually gathering all 13 months. So there you have it. That's pretty much all you guys need to know about the 13-month series. If I missed anything, make sure to put it down in the comment section below, because I know a lot of you do read the webcomics and I don't want to do any injustice. But just to quickly come back on the other half of the key, remember guys, the first half of the key became the 13-month series, so you guys must be wondering what happened to the other half of the key. Again, spoiler alert, the other half was melted into several crimson rings displaying the crest of Zahad. These rings were passed down to Zahad's supposed descendants, basically inhabitants of the tower who had somehow inherited the blood of Zahad. But I'm not going to cover that in this video. However, I need to add is that once all of these rings and the 13-month series come together, only then the key of the tower can be made and be used to go further up the tower from the 135th floor. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something new about the 13-month series. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, show your support, let me know in the comment section below what you guys want me to cover and I'll make sure to do that. Join the Discord so we can have a discussion and go balls deep in Tower of God. Till then, I'll catch you guys till next time.